So for today's video, we're just sitting on the floor because I wanted to show you a bunch of different grips of fans. I know that the most common question I have when people are starting is, what grip should I use and what's the difference? And can I do everything on both? Now, this is a pretty controversial topic, and I think you'll find die-hard big ring spinners will say that you cannot do everything on a tech grip. So let's get into that a little bit. First of all, I'll show you all the fans and then we'll get into that topic. So the more common small ring or tech fans that you're probably going to see or have heard of already is the doodle grip. Forge Creations makes these really beautiful fans that are pretty common, and they have the doodle grip. You can also just get a pair of plastic practice fans from Doodle Grip as well, and you can see it's this circle with these little lines here. The good thing about this is that you can utilize the little holes, but you can also have this really good solid grip between your fingers and your thumb, so it makes it a little bit easier to hold the fan. Some other tech grips that I love are the Flow DNA. These are the face hugger fans, so they've got this little gap in the middle so you can still do some fun techie moves. And as you can see, it's a similar design. We've just got the circle and then these bigger circles on the outside, so you've got a little bit of freedom to use this thinner handle, but also this really nice control, having the wedge between where your fingers go in and where your thumb sits. This gives us really nice control for these kind of more sharp, boxy movements, because obviously we're holding the fan really solidly. The last tech grip I'll show you is an Australian maker, Photon Props, and these are the fans that I always recommend for new fan spinners, because these are my 5 fans, but they are so durable. I wouldn't usually recommend using your 5 fans as your practice fans because a lot of the time they're pretty delicate and they can end up getting broken. However, your Photon tech fans, they're quite a pretty design, if you can sort of see. Sorry, I've got all my covers on. But they're really sturdy as well. Like, I've thrown these things around and they are quite a few years old and still holding together very, very well. They're also Australian made, so if you are Aussie and you want to support a local business, I'll also put any links in the description for any discount codes I have, which I do have one for Photon 5 props. So that's all the tech grips, or the small ring grips. And then I'm also going to show you a few big ring. So I've got a practice, an LED, and a fire. We'll start with the practice. I think this is a pretty common grip that a lot of people know. I never know how to pronounce it, and I feel so bad because I absolutely love their products, but it's like Svetabobor. I will put a link, or probably right over this with the correct spelling. But as you can see, this is a much bigger grip. They also do come in different sizes, so you can kind of measure and adjust what's going to be good for your hand. The great thing about the big ring grips is that it's so much easier to utilize something called a scissor grip, or to do grip changes when you're doing more like weaving and more similar to poi kind of movements. So that's why a lot of the kind of big ring enthusiasts will say you cannot do with big rings what you can do with small rings. I personally, having started on the small ring, adapted to do all of my weaves and all of my grip changes with both. So I am a genuine believer that you can do both on both. I do think that some things, such as the more techie poppy things, are harder with the big ring, and then some things on the small ring are harder, like grip changes and stuff like that, but they are both possible on both. So LED, this is Ignis Pixel. I love these LEDs. As you can see, it's just a big ring. There's a little bit to grab onto, but it's definitely going to use a lot more hand strength. And then we've also got these, which unfortunately are not made anymore, but this fire fan big ring. So you can also see that the big ring fans often are much bigger than the small ring fans. And that's like not necessarily a fact. Like, you can get, for example, my face huggers, they're quite a bit bigger, and you can definitely get some bigger in size small ring fans as well as you can get some smaller in size big ring fans. So that's just kind of a basic look at both of the fans. I would say if you are a hula hooper, or if you are somebody who has a lot of poi tricks and you're going to be more into this kind of weaving and flowing around your body style, the big ring may be more for you. But if you're interested in doing really sharp box techie kind of movements, then the small ring's probably going to be for you. And if you're like, I want to do both of them, I'm really not sure, then I would recommend just going with your gut, starting maybe with a small ring because the grip's going to be a little bit easier to hold. It's going to require less hand movement. And if you're going down the fan journey, you're probably going to end up like me with heaps and heaps and heaps of fans, and this isn't all of them. So don't be too disheartened. I know that props can be expensive, but just get something that you really like the look of, get something that your heart tells you to get, and then you can always change later and figure out the rest. Thanks for watching.